Hi everybody, just letting you know I've marked your stats unit assessments, so that would be your assignment plus your test. And now that I've marked them, I want to go over some helpful pointers, again trying to encourage as many of you as possible to get things done according to the deadlines, and then I want to go over how you can view your marks. And if at any point you need to refer back to this after, so by the time you've watched this, you'll be able to check out my feedback on D2L of your specific tests and assignments. But if you ever need help or you have forgotten how to do this, I'm going to place this video in the content section underneath online stuff, so you can always refer to it and fast forward to the part where it says how to get your marks. So some feedback and things to not forget. Please, please, please remember, you are expected to be doing synchronous learning. There's no one in this class that has applied for asynchronous learning. So you need to submit all your assignments and tests, especially the tests, by the deadlines or shortly thereafter. As soon as I mark something and I publish it, so again, by the time you've watch this or you start watching this, the solutions and other people's feedback will have been published. It's too late to submit anything, and unfortunately you're going to get an incomplete on that, which is like getting a 0, meaning it's going to negatively affect your mark. If you can't get something in by the deadline, talk to me, email me, message me in Hasia, let me know so we can work out an alternative deadline, or at least so I know to check back. And kind of a segue from there, if you're late, tell me, and if you've submitted it, so everyone that hasn't submitted anything for the stats unit has already been given an email. So you should be checking your student email, and your parents have been getting an email as well. Once I get the probability stuff marked today and or shortly tomorrow, that stuff will be published, and you'll be getting emails again if you've missed things. But if you have got that, then make sure you tell me. So I already know there's one person just by chance who didn't submit their stats assignment, and I can see uploaded it last night before the 9 p.m. deadline. If I never thought to go in there and look, I'm not going to go and check on my own. Once I've marked everybody else's, I'm not going to go back in there. So if you submit something significantly past the deadline into the assignment Dropbox, make sure you email me, be like, hey, Sulio, I know this was due on January 6th. I just completely forgot to do it or whatever, and I just submitted it tonight. Then I know to go and check. Otherwise, I might not go and check after the deadline, and it might not get assessed. It might go unmarked or go as a 0. So again, assignments for the stats unit, it's done. Test, if you missed the test or you didn't submit your solutions to the test, I've already sent you and your parents a different email. I have to keep the test. I have to reopen the test now. So if you're looking, you'll go back and you'll see that the stats test is opened. Don't do it. I'm not going to mark it. I've already published the results to it. So you got to refer to that email that I sent you. Like I said, I got to open the tests up so everyone that did it can actually view their feedback. So as tests start opening up again, if you are someone that didn't do the stats test or you didn't do the probability test and you're like, oh, now it's open. Awesome. It's only open for people to view their marks and view their feedback, and I'm not going to be assessing it if you do it from here on out. So again, you need to refer to that email where I've mentioned to you there's going to be an alternative thing for you to do. With regards to tests, submit all solutions with as much work shown as possible. Your tests are open book, and I totally get that you can look things up how to do them from both your notes and from the internet. But you got to show me that you know what you're doing. The final answer is only worth a little bit out of the marks for each question. So for instance, on the stats test, let's say, when I asked you to find the mean, median, and mode, some of you just wrote mean equals and wrote down the number. You didn't show me that you know what you're doing at all. Or you wrote standard deviation, like when we did that during the lesson. That was a big, long process in a table that you had to do, and you didn't show me any work, and you just wrote standard deviation equals this. Again, you have to show me as much work as you can for your assignments, but especially for your tests. So for some of you, when you go to check your feedback on each question from your stats test, let's say, there's going to be feedback that says no work was shown or not enough work was shown. So even though you got the right answer, you didn't get full marks for the question. Remember, these are tests. You have to show me that you know what you're doing. Otherwise, I have no idea if you just plugged it into an online calculator. Did you text a friend and just spit back the final answer to me? So remember, the work, especially virtually, the work matters more than the final answer. And again, some of you did not submit your solutions. The very last question even says, I didn't submit my solutions, therefore I acknowledge I'm getting 0. And some of you clicked on that. Taking a 0 on a test is huge, especially because you have over 2 hours to do it with completely open book. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to submit some solutions that you can refer to and not take a 0 on a test. Watch the lessons. So you can see I'm trying to be like, it's surprising for some of me, for some of you. I can completely tell that you're not watching the lessons. And that's a recipe for disaster. And again, I fully admit virtual learning for math is not optimal. It's not optimal for many of the subject areas, but math especially. But remember, your expectation as a student, the expectation laid out to you by the Ministry of Education, you have a responsibility to be online and do what you're supposed to be doing for your classes between 8:55 and 2:55. Some of you are not watching the lessons. You're not doing the work. And if you don't do the work, how is it going to be possible for you to actually answer an assignment question or a test question? It's not. You're just going in blind, right? Watch the lessons. Ask for help. I can count the number of people on 2 hands. So less than 10 people out of a class of 26, I think, have actually asked me a question. So, and, only, let's say 10 of you asked questions, that would leave us with 16 that didn't. Those 16 people did not get perfect on the assignment or on the test. So I know that you have questions or that you haven't learned the material. You really need to start asking me for help. Email me, message me in Hasia, log into those, like when you're on D2L, go to the activity feed. There's two hours I'm on Teams in real time where you can drop in and ask me questions. Some of you are really going to have to start doing this. And then the last thing I kind of want to go over before I show you how to check your marks, I'm going to incentivize for the next unit everyone submitting 1 file. So as I mentioned to you, it's okay if you don't submit 1 file for your assignments or your test solutions. However, it takes me longer to mark it. It's going to be more work for you to check my feedback. And if you email me your solutions or send me them in Hasia, as I've already mentioned to those people individually, you're not going to get detailed feedback for me because it's more work for me then to upload my feedback and save it when you guys are supposed to be doing this yourselves. So for the next time we're together, so there's 2 units left. If you happen to have looked ahead or listened to any of the videos for the next unit, there is no assignment, but there's a test. And then for the finance unit, which is the last unit, there's going to be an assignment and a test. I am going to give everyone 2 bonus marks for any assignment or test if you submit your solutions as 1 file. Some of you figured out how to submit them all as a PDF. Others, I can tell, you just took the pictures off your phone and cut and paste them into a Microsoft Word document. That's fine too. But I'm going to encourage all of you to get the 2 easiest marks added onto each of your assignments and tests for the last week of school, or at least the last week of math, for submitting 1 file. Practice. As soon as you watch this, go and practice. Practice to see, take some pictures of some things and see if you can save them as a PDF. See if you can upload them to your portfolio or upload them to one of the assignment boxes and then delete them. Or see if you can figure out how to put them all into one Word file. So again, I'm still going to mark them if they're multiple files, but I'm going to try to incentivize even more. So provide you guys with some bonus marks for A, submitting them as one file, and B, putting them in the appropriate Dropbox, meaning trying to avoid emailing me and sending them to me in Hasia. It's just more work for me, which I'm perfectly willing to do if you have tech issues. Which, speaking of, if you are having tech issues, I've tried to help you. It's really hard to help you from a distance. So if you're still having tech issues, email the help desk, message a friend, see if you can talk to your parents, see if you can send me like detailed screenshots of problems you're running into, and I'll try to see if I can help you from a distance. But between now and when we start back up in math next Monday, try to figure out your tech issues, try to figure out how to submit things as one file. Now, before going in to check your marks while I think about it, if any of you have any questions about the CCA or what's going to be happening, if you missed the announcement yesterday, the government has announced by January 20th, all of the boards should know if they're returning to in-person learning on the 25th or not. So meaning by next Wednesday, a week from the date I'm recording this, we should know, unless things change between now and the recording, you should know if we're going back to in-person or not. For us, for math, it doesn't matter. So if we come back on the 25th face-to-face, that Monday, half the day is going to be CCA Part 1, and Tuesday, the other half that day is going to be CCA Part 2. And that's worth 30% of your mark. If we're still virtual, I will give you the exact same thing. So on Monday the 25th, it'll be Part 1, and there'll be a 2.5 hour timeline, deadline, like there would be in class for you to get Part 1 done. And then on Tuesday the 26th, I'll give you Part 2. It'll be on D2L. And you'll have a 2.5 hour timeline to get Part 2 done. And then that's 30% of your mark. So, how to check your feedback I gave you and your mark on specific assignments and on tests. So I'm going to go through a series of pictures here. So when you log into D2L, and I'm assuming you are using a laptop. It'll look similar if you're using your phone, but laptop, tablet, whatever. So the first thing you are going to do when you log in, you are going to click on Assessments. Then you are going to click on, let's say, Assignments. Now remember, under the assignments are both potentially your test solutions plus your stats assignment and or your probability assignment. Once you click on that, you should see a screen like this, and you can see already it tells you which things you did not submit. Now right here beside stats test. So if you submitted your stats assignment and I marked it, you'll have this exact same thing here too. But for the stats test, let's say, you can click here where it says feedback unread. You could also click on this one submission if you want to. You'll get to the same screen. Once you click on that, you should see view inline feedback. And from there, it'll show you the files that you uploaded, and it'll show you if I actually did any markup on it like this, like it'll show up with red ink like this, it'll be in that document. If I didn't, that means I didn't actually have find any mistakes, or there was nothing that needed to be corrected. And remember, your stats feedback, your test feedback are going to come from your solutions that you uploaded plus your quiz results or your test results. So, how do you check your test results? Click on assessments, but instead of clicking on assignments, go to quizzes. Then you're going to see stats test, let's say, and you're going to see over here, now I didn't include it here. Over here though, you're going to see what the mark was. And then if you click on attempt, and then it'll show you attempt number 1, click on that. And this is just the first couple questions. So all of the information you need for your test score is on here. So it'll show you what you picked. If you got it wrong, it'll show you how many marks you got. If you did get it wrong, it'll point you to the right answer, which will be helpful for your CCA. And if I left you any feedback on here, like typed any feedback in, there would be a drop-down box here that says feedback. Or for specific questions, there will also be a drop-down box underneath that will say feedback, if I left you any specific feedback. Otherwise, it'll all be found in your, say, stats test solutions that you put in your assignment Dropbox for the stats test. For the most part, I left the feedback on your test solutions that you put in the stats test assignment box. However, some of you are going to have feedback here that says, like, no work shown, therefore you didn't get 4 out of 4, or 1 out of 1, or 2 out of 2. Or it'll say no solutions were submitted to me, therefore you got 0 on a test, as you acknowledge at the very bottom when you checked off, I did not submit solutions. Now, if there's any issues, so if anyone thinks they sent solutions, you need to let me know ASAP, because I'm bombarded on a daily basis with emails and messages from students, not just from you guys, but from other classes as well, from parents, from the school, from principals, from the board office. So there is a chance I could have accidentally deleted your test solutions. So if you're checking this and you see that you got 0 and you're like, whoa, I submitted my solutions, you need to let me know as soon as possible. And I expect in that email to see your test solutions that you sent me, or that you thought that you had sent me, like in that email. So, like I said, some helpful feedback on the first little bit. I incentivize, meaning I've provided more value for you, more reasoning to try to submit things as one file as opposed to multiple pictures. Again, if you can't figure it out, that's fine. But every person that does figure it out, it's just less time for me. It means you guys get your marks back quicker. And then I've shown you how to get your marks. Now, if any of you would like to know your mark after the stats unit, you can just send me an email or send me a message. I'm going to be moving forward and start marking the probability stuff. As soon as I start marking the probability stuff and entering those marks, I'm not going to be able to look up your specific mark after the stats unit, because your probability stuff will then be blended into your mark. So again, within the next, depending when you watch this, but I would say within the next, 12 or so hours, if you want to know what your mark was after, like your up-to-date class mark, just send me a message and I can let you know. Otherwise, you can wait until after I'm done the probability stuff. And again, for some of you, I know you would have been able to be successful if the face-to-face learning continued. Some of you took a little bit of a nosedive, at least for the stats unit. Maybe probability is better for you guys. I haven't really looked at those things yet. But some of you are going down a path where you're leaving me very little wiggle room for you guys getting the credit. Now, there's still lots of time left, right? You still have 2 units plus a CCA, but your CCA is going to test what you learned in class plus what you learned virtually, and 4 of the 7 units were done virtually. And if you count the trig unit, 5 of 7 units were done virtually because remember, I was in isolation for the trig unit. So some of you are really going to have to pull up your socks, so to speak. Make sure you ask for help. Make sure you actually sit down and know what you're doing. Really, really, really try your best in the 7 days we have left of math, and 5 of which are unit days. So you got 2 tests, 1 assignment left, plus your CCA. You guys are really, really, really going to have to pull up your socks. Some of you, anyway. So that's it. Depending when you're watching this, have a great weekend. And or maybe you're watching this on Monday morning before you start the new unit. So we'll be in touch again with our video lessons for the exponentials unit.